have another creepy story about Epping Forest. This one comes from a woman who, after separating with her husband, who she has 4 children with, decides to move out of London and move somewhere a little bit safer and a bit more quiet. She chooses a house in Epping Forest. Instantly on moving in, the vibes are just not good. The house that she had seen when she came to look around was nice, it seemed bright, it seemed airy, but as soon as she moved in, the vibes seemed to change. The house was always cold. It was grey, it was grim. She had always been like a social person, and now she didn't want to leave the house. Even though the house just didn't have homely vibes, she never wanted to go out. She didn't want to see her friends. She has 4 children. One day they are all out playing in the garden and she is in the kitchen. She can see them playing outside the entire time. She looks up and there is a man and a woman talking to her children. There are no boundaries to her garden. It is just the forest. So immediately her heart sinks and she runs outside. But by the time she gets out there, they are gone. They are nowhere to be seen. These 2 random people that she's just witnessed with her own eyes have just disappeared into the tree line. And she can tell by her children's body language that they are scared and they are not happy. And by the time she gets out there, all 4 of the children are running back towards their mum and back towards the back door. When they come in, they immediately tell their mum that the 2 people standing outside said that this is their house and they need to leave. She calls her ex-husband and she lets him know what's just happened, and he is very unhappy with the whole situation. He's unhappy with how the house feels. He's unhappy with the change that he has seen in his ex-wife, and now that this is happening, he just feels very uncomfortable about the entire move. So he comes over the very next day and he starts to put fences up. One night she is up in bed and she hears a landline ring, and they do not have a landline, but it sounds like it's coming from inside her house. Because they are conjoined to the house next door, she thinks maybe it's their landline, and so she tries to go back to sleep. A few nights after that, again she hears the same landline, and this time it is 3 a.m. and she is thinking, who on earth could be calling them on a landline at this time in the morning? So at this point she's now awake and she hears a thudding, like a rhythmic thudding, and then she realizes that that thudding sounds like it's coming from inside her house. And so she goes outside, she creeps down her stairs, and she sees that in her kitchen the back door is wide open and the wind is banging it on one of her kitchen walls. She calls her ex-husband and he comes straight round, and he goes out into the garden with a torch, and they see that their back fence has been knocked down completely, the fence that he has just put up. He decides that he's going to stay on the sofa because, again, he is feeling so uncomfortable about the entire thing. They start to think that it's actually the neighbours who they haven't even met yet. That week, the ex-husband makes it his business to speak to next door, and when he finally does meet the neighbours, they are a couple in their late 20s and they do not have a landline. So he asks them, would your phone be ringing at 3 a.m? And they both say no. So he just decides that he's going to prolong his stay for a few more days, and one night when he's sleeping on the sofa, he hears a landline ring. He picks up his mobile and he records the sound. The next morning he's going to go and he's going to confront the neighbours because it very much sounds like it's coming from the walls. The next morning when he wakes up and he goes to play the recording to the neighbours, you can hear the ringing, and then you can very much hear the sound of an older man's voice telling him to get out. The couple next door tell him that nobody has stayed in that house for longer than a few months since they've lived next door. The family pack up, they put the house back up for sale, and they never look back. And I do not blame them.